You have friction. You're insecure about the way you look. You're insecure about what you gotta say. I get comments left and right. GaryVee, you say the same shit. And I'm like, that's right, motherfucker, because I believe it. Very humbled, thank you. All right, let's get into it. Let's break it into macro and micro, because when I think about the hypothesis of what we're trying to accomplish here, the way to actually pull it off in my perspective is macro and micro. What do I mean by that? Macro is really just mindset and perspective. Like, you're not gonna do the things that I am gonna talk about in the micro if you're not in the right place on the macro. Let me give you an example on the macro. A stunning majority of people in here are not unlocking the full max potential predicated on a lack of self-awareness. You'd like to be something, but you're actually not that. And what I mean by that is, when I think about video, there's all of us. I mean, when I look at my keynotes that I'm about to do, I'm like, oh, that's affected by Macho Man Randy Savage. That's affected by Richard Pryor and Chris Rock. Like, I can see like the things that I watched as a kid impact the way I talk. The reason I bring that up is I really think that self-awareness is one of the most significant aspects in winning in video. I think a lot of people are trying to do certain things that are just not there. Not that you can't build those skills, but I'm a very big fan of eliminating friction. I mean, the amount of people that I've watched in the last 15 years try to do me when they would crush by doing them. I bring it up all the time. Like, I'm a high energy, over the top, like very jerseyed out, super like I was just in Minnesota for 400 hours standing, taking selfies, fly to Vegas, do 3 talks. Like, that's a different kind of breed. Not that that's good, bad, or indifferent. I actually am trying to talk more about, like, I don't view that as like better. I just view it as I'm very good at being me. I'm really good at being me. Like, the only thing I think I actually do special is be me. And I think when I think about how are you gonna win in this play, you've got to really be you, even when it doesn't seem that you works. For example, for a lot of the youngsters in here, and definitely for people over 40, this is gonna resonate. When I hit the scene on video and keynotes, I did not dress the part. I cursed crazy. Everybody told me I was gonna lose, I couldn't win. And it happened. Like, a lot of places wouldn't book me because I cursed too much. I didn't wear a suit, which was like fucking completely unacceptable 15 years ago. And like, people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just don't have the ability not to be me. And I was willing to leave money on the table, accolades, everything. I was willing to leave everything on the table because I just did not know how to not be me. So as you sit here today, there's tactics, there's things, there's people you admire, you wish you were. I wish I could read. I'm being dead serious. I wish I could read. I have no reading comprehension. I have to waste my time on 5-minute calls all day long because I can't read an email for 13 seconds. I wish I could read. But I can't, so I have a different style. And that's how I think about video. It is very, when Musical.ly hit, and I knew it was gonna go, obviously TikTok bought it and it became one and the same. Everybody around me was like, but you don't dance. And I was like, that's for damn fucking sure. Because by the way, if I danced, you'd see it by now. I was like, I'm not gonna dance like 14-year-old teenagers on TikTok. I'm gonna put out my content. I'm gonna know that 14-year-olds are listening, so the adjective might be different, the reference might be different, the context will be different. Video, in my opinion today, is a battleground of a quadrant that looks kind of like this. You need to communicate the way you communicate. There are people that are not dynamic, they're monotone, and they do just fine and dominate. They are. And so if you're a monotone person, then that's that, right? 2, you have to know the context of where you're making the content. We were talking backstage, I argue that the place that I'm the least good at that is YouTube, ironically. YouTube's the one platform where I don't do best practices. I suck at thumbnails, I don't do breaks. Mr. Beast makes fun of me every week. Just text me, you suck. I'm like, you're right, because it's the one that I don't do. It's the one that I don't do. I do all the rest of them. So it's always contextual. But what I really think is that when you go into the macro place, you've got such an easier game to do the micro. The micro is very obvious to me, it's tactics, right? The tactics are clear to me, but most people don't execute on it because they don't have the first part down, right? If you don't know yourself and you don't have a grasp on that, you have no prayer on TikTok, and nobody should be confused in this room. The biggest arbitrage in attention in society is TikTok. Right this second, you want a tactic? There's no debate, there's nothing close. If you are not fully pot committed into taking the opportunity on TikTok, you're missing the biggest opportunity since Facebook fan pages in 2012. Instagram hasn't been this good since 2011. And a lot of you know. How many people here put out content on Instagram? Raise your hands. Raise them high. How many people, by show of hands raising them, feel that it was going better 24 months ago? You know, so like the reality is that the supply and demand of attention moves on these platforms. The TikTok arbitrage is gonna close, and it's gonna close in the next 24 months, and the land grab is right now. The only thing I give a fuck about for you to win out of this whole talk is that you go back home and make 3 or 4 TikToks a day. I'd like you to be good at them, so I'll continue to talk, otherwise I could leave right now. But that game is about the context of knowing how to make a TikTok, which is very easy because you can just Google how to make good TikToks, and there's unlimited TikTok content on how to make good TikToks. That's there. The question that I keep pondering of what I see is working and not working is, do you know yourself? Right? Like people like, if it doesn't come as easy as breathing oxygen, you need to understand why. If making videos doesn't come as easy as drinking oxygen, you have friction. You're insecure about the way you look, you're insecure about what you gotta say. Huge problem in this space when I analyze it, people talk about shit they don't know. Yeah. Like if somebody, occasionally, if I'm on a real roll of talking about the same shit for a while, I get comments left and right for a period of time where they're like, GaryVee, you say the same shit. And I'm like, that's right, motherfucker. Cause I believe it. Cause it's the thing to say. You know this. Some of you have been affected by other people, by myself, you've affected people. You sometimes say the same thing. Somebody's heard it 87 times. I said the same shit to my father this week here at VCon that I've been saying for 37 years, and he told me this time it clicked. The amount of people, watch this, you wanna see something cool? By show of hands, doesn't hurt my feelings, I'm detached from my success and from people shitting on me. By show of hands, how many people here, the first time they ever saw me, thought I sucked and was a scam artist and a piece of shit? Raise your hands. Raise them high. Higher, higher, higher. Right? Like, and then how many people that just raised their hands were affected positively by a piece of content in their lives? That's it. That's the game. Got it? That's the game. The reason that was an interesting thing, and I hope people looked back and saw how many hands went up, if you can go from this guy's a piece of shit scam artist to this person positively affected me, that is only required and can only be achievable when you only talk about things you know and you're willing to say them 87,000 different ways. Most people get caught up because they feel like they've already said their thing and they just start making up some other shit. Right? I see people like, yo, I'm a real estate expert. And I'm like 6 months later, I'm like, I'm a crypto expert. And like 13 months later, I'm the king of cannabis. I'm like, this fucking person. You want to win in video? 2 very hardcore truths. 1, you have to know who you are as a communicator and not try to push yourself to be some other communicator. Some of you are funny, get funnier. Some of you are clever with words, feel comfortable. Some are loud as fuck, like me. Do you understand how real of a businessman I am and how many people think I'm a motivational speaker? Do you know how underestimated I am for my professional career, that people have no concept of how many big businesses I've built and what I do for a living because my style of communication feels spiely? And I'm willing to walk around on earth underestimated because I have no interest in slightly tweaking down my energy, because that's just not who I am. And it doesn't matter what people think. The truth is the truth. If you are not gift of gab, but you can what about making videos where you just read? It might not be as compelling as eye to eye, but that's you. Some of you shouldn't make video at all. You should leave right the fuck now. I'm being dead serious. Some of you should be writing because you're a remarkable writer, And you're forcing yourself to believe that video is the only winning because you can see it, yet tons of people are winning writing. Some of you should take a beautiful photo and just write. Some of you should just make a video of something mundane that makes the point of your video. It's literally a video of a banana and you're talking about slippery slopes. You like that one? I think it's a good one. It's good because this game is completely based on you being comfortable in the way you make and talking about shit you know. And most people are doing neither. Thank you, Sia. That is really the macro. The micro is simple. The micro is simple, I'll tell you why, because no matter what platform you're making on, best practices exist, right? Like, if you want to be better at it, like YouTube and TikTok have unlimited content of best practices for YouTube and TikTok scattered all over. This is not an education thing. That's 13 hours of work and then you know, thumbnails do this, break on your YouTube videos every 3-4 minutes. Like, I do none of that on YouTube, but everywhere else I do it. Like, you can figure that part out. YouTube Shorts is a huge arbitrage. Everyone's chasing TikTok, so anything that a new platform launches is always gonna over-index. There's no reason to not make a Reels over a regular post because they're gonna big the outcome of the distribution. It's all there. That's fucking simple shit. That's the simple shit. There wouldn't be a need for this or me or Sean or anything else if that was the game. That is not the game. Everybody wants to make it the game because it's tangible. It's just not the game. The game is, are you comfortable in how you make? Do you have a process to make? A lot of you, for example, if you think, when I think about my career, I very quickly was like, oh my God, this YouTube thing in December of 2005, I was like, this thing's gonna change the world. Because in 2002, I wanted to make wine videos, but I found out how expensive it was to host videos on the internet. It was like $1 trillion a video. It was OG. This is why Web3 comes so natural to me, that everyone's like scamming and this and that. I'm like, technology will catch up. Just give it a few minutes. But, so when YouTube came out, I'm like, oh, I can finally make these videos. Like when my developer told me, I'm like, I don't have to pay anything, right? He's like, no. I'm like, asked him like 14 more times. I'm like, but I don't pay, right? He's like, no. I was like, let's make videos. So, but it was funny, what I decided to make. I saw a lot of opportunity. I was already a businessman. I had those thoughts, but I was like, the thing I know the best at this point in my life is wine. So let me make wine videos and let me make them my way. And it's fun for me to think back that the advice I'm giving right now in 2022 is exactly what I lived 16 years ago when I first entered the arena. I'm telling you, a lot of you are making videos around genres where you think there's money versus making videos around the stuff you like and know, which will then lead to the money. You know?
This is why you're the guy, Gary.
Thank you, mate. I really, really believe that. I think a lot more of you should be making very niche content around stuff you have passion around, because then you will have everyone's like, how do you have so much energy? I'm like, I love this shit. I don't want to fucking golf. I'm not interested in fucking skiing. I don't want to fucking sail. I don't want to cook. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make content. But if you're making content around something that you heard has good AdSense, or there's good brand deals in, or that's where the money is, you're fucking finished. Because it's not you. And if you try to make content like me, who like clearly got so lucky that he grew up in the 80s, because if they put me into the 2000 system, they would have drugged the fuck out of me. So, I mean, luckily I have the best mom. She would have been like, fuck you, but you need to fucking really lean into who you are as a communicator. It was a funny thing to say, but I do think some of you need to not make video. For example, I think a lot of people are genuinely, this is how you were raised, this is your circumstance, you're really insecure about the way you look. It's devastating, I don't like it, I wish people didn't, but it's like more energy goes into how you look on camera than the content. Maybe you should be an audio podcaster only with no video, maybe. Because anything that's stopping you from the message is a problem. And one of the things that stops the message, back to ping pong to the other thing, is talking about stuff you don't know. Everyone's like, why are you so good at this? Like, why is it so easy? Like, I just did a podcast, I'm doing this. They're like, why do you improv everything? Why is it like this? Why don't you want to know anything? I'm like, because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. If you're studying to make content, you lost. Especially if you think you're a fucking expert. Yeah, there's a lot of quiet giggling on that one. This, what I've just talked about, is the most significant part of making video. Thumbnails this, hack that, math this, analytics this, means dog shit if you don't have the thing I've just been talking about down. My great hope is that a lot of you go back home and start making content about different shit altogether, because it's the thing you either love the most, which means you'll do the research and be in it, or the thing you know the most. And if you're lucky like I am, and the thing you love the most is the thing you know the most, then it can get really crazy. But that is my observation 15 years into this game. Who's winning? The people leaning all in to them. Who are they? How do they roll? Let the world catch up to you. Stop chasing the world. You understand? Oh, crypto, I'm gonna go there. No. Let the world catch up to you. All this collectible garage sale sports card thing, it caught up to me. I was a dork for liking that shit. My friends were like, you're going garage sailing? You know, like, you like flipping shit? This is stupid. In the 90s, college? I mean, that was the only option. Entrepreneurship, a non-conversation in the 80s and 90s. College was the only way you were gonna win. That's not the conversation today. Twitter, social media, people, there's nothing I've ever done in my life that the majority of the people, every good thing that has happened to me starts with everybody shitting on me. 1996, I'm gonna sell wine on the internet. Everyone, who's gonna buy wine on the internet? I said, everybody. That sounded crazy. How many people over 45 in this room? Raise your hand. Remember how crazy that was back then? That shit was crazy. 2006, Twitter. I was like, Twitter. Everyone's like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. You're telling me that people are gonna post things that they're going to the post office, walking the dog, eating a pizza? Who gives a shit about that? I answered, everybody. NFTs, blockchain, owning digital assets, people struggling with that. There's not a person in this room that's not gonna have NFTs in 10 years, not because it's a collectible, because it's a utility. You're not gonna be able to take a flight on a plane, because the NFT is gonna be the ticket. The fuck's a QR code? Please listen to me. Let the world catch up to you. This whole narrative about being kind as a gangster businessman was fucking laughed at 15 years ago. Now people are starting to get it. You might like Legos, you might like pancakes, you might like talking about parenting or being poorly parented, therapy, meditation. I don't fucking know, but I know every person in this room has something they like. Most people don't do it around what they like because they don't think there's money in it. Gary, there's no money in Hot Wheels. Yes, there is. Get 150,000 people a day watching your podcast on Hot Wheels and Mattel will write you a 6-figure check. People are scared to be themselves. People are scared to be themselves. When being yourself is the only moat in life. If you leave here, because all the information around the micro, I didn't even get into it. You know why? It doesn't fucking matter, it's so easy. You can Google that shit right now. Unlimited, free, unlimited free tactics. This, what do you make? How do you make it? Do you like it? That's the fucking game. And so I will preach this in perpetuity because it is so crystal clear. You can't sustain doing something you don't like, especially if you're doing it for money. You will lose that game every day of the week. So I hope you take a step back from this talk. I hope you realize, don't be disappointed in how you communicate, embrace how you communicate. LinkedIn has much arbitrage as TikTok. Right? Just talk about shit you like and know. It's as simple as that. And I know most of you aren't. I know it. And I don't want that for you. Because that becomes a hamster wheel. And that's why it hasn't happened. And I'd really prefer it to happen for you. I'd like you to win. Thank you.